Hey guys, what is up? I'm back, and today I'll be talking about the best Minecraft feature from every year. Now, Minecraft has been around for 17 years, and throughout those years there's been many changes to the game, many updates, many new features, stuff like that. So without further ado, let's get into it. Starting with 2010, because I'll be skipping over 2009 because it added all the very core features, and I really can't pick one best feature from 2009. It just wouldn't make any sense. It added all the core mobs and all the core blocks and stuff like that. I don't need to go in depth. But starting with 2010, I'd say biomes are the best thing added in 2010. Before October of 2010, there were no biomes. It was just bright green grass and trees everywhere. But then in October of 2010, they changed it up. They decided to add different biomes to the game, different grass colors, and just, different places in the game, I don't really need to explain biomes to you. Obviously, you know what I'm talking about. But moving on to 2011. Now, the best thing added in 2011, I'd say it's the Ender Dragon. It's one of the most iconic mobs in Minecraft, and honestly one of the best. Not the best mob in Minecraft, that's a lie. But it's one of the best. It's one of the best mobs in Minecraft. And the funny thing is that I didn't even know what the end dimension was until 2020. However, I still somehow knew what the Ender Dragon was like a couple years before that. I don't know, I just thought I would share that. Not that it really matters. But yeah, an honorable mention for this year is the Mushroom Island. It's a pretty cool biome. It's nothing amazing, not the best biome, nowhere close to the best biome, but honestly, still a pretty good biome. For 2012, we got the jungle biome. Now, the jungle is one of my favorite biomes in Minecraft. It might even be my favorite biome. It really is a great biome. The bright green grass and trees, with the more recent addition of bamboo, although that didn't exist back in 2012. But yeah, there's ocelots and cocoa beans. Not that I really care about that, but it just got a nice vibe to it. It just feels way more alive than other Minecraft biomes similar to the jungle, like the forest or the taiga. It just feels way more alive than those biomes. And an honorable mention, honestly, I don't got an honorable mention for this year. Jungles are by far the best thing added in this year. But moving on to 2013, and now there's a lot of good things added to the game in 2013 because this was when the 1.7 update came out for PC, which added a ton of things to the game. But if I had to pick a best feature from 2013, I'd say it's the roofed forest biome. It's another one of my favorite biomes, and similar to the jungle, it's very bright and vibrant, feels more alive than a lot of other forest biomes, and it just got nice vibes, Yeah, some honorable mentions include the new flowers added in 2013, because before 1.7, all we had were roses and dandelions. Yeah, there wasn't really much to work with, but we got a bunch of new flowers like blue orchids, lilacs, tulips, just way more stuff to decorate with, way more creative freedom. It was pretty nice. But moving on to 2014, now this was the year when I first ever played Minecraft. And this year, it didn't add the most eventful of things to the game. Although 2014 was a great year to play Minecraft, it wasn't really the best when it came to adding new stuff, but that's besides the point. The best thing I'd say added to the game in 2014 was new doors. Before 1.8, we didn't have different doors. It was just the regular old oak door. Your regular old, plain old oak door. That was it. But then we got new doors, which adds a lot more creative freedom. Don't get me wrong, I like the classic oak door. It's nice and all, but having more options is objectively better. And for honorable mentions, I don't really know, to be honest. Maybe Guardians, Elder Guardians? I don't know. This year wasn't too eventful when it came to adding new stuff. At least when it came to adding completely new stuff. Although it was kind of a good year for adding existing stuff from PC over to console. But that's besides the point. And now moving on to 2015. Now you might think that there's nothing that got added in 2015. What would be the best thing in 2015? But you have to remember that even though there were no updates in 2015 on PC, there were plenty of updates to console in 2015. And I'd say the best update, the best of all those updates, had to be custom super flat worlds. In July of 2015, they added custom super flat worlds to console edition, and this was a game changer. Before, you just had your regular old super flat worlds. Nothing special, just a world that's good for building, and nothing really beyond that. But then they added custom super flat worlds. Now these were great because you could actually survive in these super flat worlds. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, you play a super flat world, you maybe build a few things and that's it. No, you can actually have a cool and fun survival challenge on these custom super flat worlds. They're quite fun, I can't even lie. It is nice how you can just survive and build your entire world from the ground up instead of it just being like a normally generated world where there's already bombs for you. It's a nice change, although it might not be better than a regular world, but either way, nice change. And now moving on to 2016. Now you might think I'm going to say something like the Elytra or the new end dimension. What do you mean new end dimension? It's not new, but you know, the new stuff in the end. Sorry, but I'm not going to say any of that. What I'm actually going to say is the TU-46 tutorial world, the second to last tutorial world. Now this is my absolute favorite tutorial world. It is by far the best. I remember in 2017 and early 2018 playing this tutorial world on my neighbor's Xbox One, and it was great. It was great. You know, I wasn't really too into the game back then. I didn't really know everything about Minecraft back in 2017, but I mean, I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun playing Xbox One Edition. It was only the demo version, so I never played the mini games or anything like that, but I got to experience the greatness of the TU-46 tutorial world. The spawn's great. You got the jungle biome. I mean, to be fair, a lot of tutorial worlds have the jungle biome, but there's a giant treehouse in the jungle, the mushroom tree houses, the desert civilization. It's the best tutorial world. It's the best one. You know, 2017 was honestly a great year to play Minecraft. Not because of anything that was added in 2017, but just because, you know, a lot of the stuff that was added in mid to late 2016 made playing Minecraft in 2017 so much better. And speaking of 2017, now like I just said, 2017, while it was a great year to play Minecraft, it really wasn't too eventful when it came to adding new things. If I had to pick the best thing added to the game in 2017, I would have to say colored beds, because they were a pretty good feature, I can't even lie. You know, finally not having to use a red bed for everything. Don't get me wrong, I'm not hating on the red bed at all. It's very iconic, and I get that. But having different colored beds is objectively better. I mean, we needed this change, and you know, we got this change. It was nice because now you can actually have a bed that goes with your build instead of it always being red. Like imagine you build something. Imagine you build a house, and this house is very green and blue. You know, red might not go too well with that. Sure, you could say, oh, red goes well with green, red goes well with blue. They're very different. That means they go together. But you know, what if you want a bed that has the same or a similar color to your house? Well, now you can do that. So that's the best feature of 2017. For 2018, now moving on to 2018, I would say the best feature of 2018 is coral reefs. Coral reefs are one of the greatest biomes in Minecraft. Maybe not in modern Minecraft because of the dead coral getting added, but before late 2019, at least in Bedrock Edition, there wasn't dead coral and coral reefs, and they were beautiful biomes. To be honest, they are still good biomes, and they were elite when they were first added, you know, before they added dead coral. But, you know, they're just so colorful, and they were just different from everything else at the time. Not only that, but also another great thing added to the game in 2018, you know, an honorable mention, I'd say is swimming. Swimming was another great feature in Minecraft, because, well, you know, it makes traversing water a lot easier. Do I really need to explain why swimming is a good idea? You know, why it's a good addition? No, I didn't think so. But moving on to 2019, now you might think I'm going to say something big, like the new villages, but no, I'm not going to say that. Or you might think maybe I'll say something like the new textures, which, you know, I'm not going to say that either. What I'm actually going to say will surprise you. The best feature, in my opinion, from 2019 is the bamboo forest seed template. Now, at first, you might not know what I'm talking about, but you probably know how Bedrock has seed templates, right? Well, in 1.14, in 2019, when they first added the bamboo forest seed template, It was elite. It was like one of the best seeds of all time. You had a bamboo forest. I mean, no shit. Obviously, you had a bamboo forest. You know, you had a bamboo jungle biome. You had a coral reef. It was just and you had some mountains nearby. And I remember I knew the coordinates of the stronghold. I just knew my way around that seed. And I still, to this day, even though this seed has been discontinued, I wouldn't say discontinued, it's been replaced. Even though the seed has been gone for over 4 years, I still remember the coordinates of the stronghold. So yeah, it was an elite seed, some great biomes, great memories too. I remember from 2019 to 2021, I played this seed a ton, and it's great. I was so disappointed when they removed this in 1.18. I was beyond disappointed. But moving on to 2020. Now for 2020, I'm actually going to say two things. The Crimson and Warped Forest. These add so much life to the Nether. I know some people might be like, oh, but the Nether's supposed to feel like hell. These biomes shouldn't be in the game. Shut up. They should be in the game. They add so much life to the Nether, especially the Warped Forest, because it just has so much, it just contrasts the regular Nether so much, because it's blue and the Nether is very red and orange. And even the Crimson Forest is very nice. The Crimson and Warped Forest are some of my favorite biomes in the game. They're beautiful. They're great biomes. It's so much life to the Nether, and they were really a great feature added to the game, you know? Okay, I really don't need to glaze the Crimson and Warped Forest. I think I've explained it enough. But moving on to 2021. Now, for 2021, you might think I'm going to say something like the new cave generation, or copper. Oh, okay, not copper. You don't think I'm going to say copper. You did not think that, but you might think I'm going to say something like the new cave generation or the new mountain generation, which I actually don't like the new mountain generation, but no, I'm not going to say that. What I'm actually going to say for 2021 is axolotls. They're a great mob. I'm just going to say it. They are a great mob, and you know, they look cool, and yeah, I don't really need to explain. And they're pretty iconic too. Not as iconic as like a creeper or another one of those old school mobs, but they are iconic. You know, they instantly became iconic, and that shows something. But moving on to 2022. Now, the best feature added in 2022, in my opinion, was the Warden. Now, 2022 was a pretty uneventful year for Minecraft. I mean, a lot of people were really let down by the Wild update. A lot of people just weren't fans of it. And I understand. They canceled a lot of great features. And honestly, the Mangrove Swamp, it's rare, and it's also pretty boring. I can't even lie. But yeah, the Warden is pretty cool. Not the coolest thing added to Minecraft, but still pretty cool. So without further ado, let's go to 2023. Now for 2023, I'd say the best feature is the Cherry Blossom biome. Now, it's just a great biome all around. Maybe not the best, but even if it's not the best, it's still a great biome. It's different from everything else at the time. You know, even though there's been multiple texture packs, like the Chinese Mythology texture pack, the Adventure Time texture pack, you know, those texture packs, even though there's been multiple texture packs that turn existing trees into cherry blossom trees, even though they existed in texture packs before 2023, they never existed in default textures until 2023. But now moving on to 2024, another fairly uneventful year for Minecraft. I'd say the best feature is Trial Chambers, because really, what else would I say? Pale Gardens? Yeah, no, Pale Gardens are terrible. Definitely the worst biome in Minecraft. Or bundles? Yeah, no, those are such an uneventful addition to the game. But moving on to 2025. Now, I think this might be a little bit of a controversial opinion, but I'm going to say that the best feature from 2025 has to be the Lava Chicken music disc. It's heat. It's my favorite music disc. It just sounds so nice. Do I really need to explain to you why the Lava Chicken music disc is so great? No, I don't need to explain. You know, you listen to it, you're gonna know why. You'll get it. But yeah, enough of that. An honorable mention for 2025 was the Nautilus, because I think it was a pretty cool mob. And another honorable mention for 2025 is just the jockeys in general. Not just the Drowned Nautilus jockey, but also the Zombie Horse jockey, Camel Husk jockey. You get the point. I don't need to go in depth on that. But last but not least, 2026. Now, 2026 is far from over. We're only 5 months into 2026. We got 7 months left to go. Actually, more like 7.5. But either way, that doesn't really matter. We got a long way to go before 2026 is over. But I'm still going to say the best feature of 2026. I'd say cinnabar bricks are the best feature of 2026. Now, 2026 has not been an eventful year for Minecraft so far. Nothing crazy has been added to the game, and that's not a hot take at all. Most people could agree with me on that. But if I had to choose, I'd say cinnabar bricks. They look pretty solid, and they're better than all the sulfur stuff and, regular cinnabar. You get the point. And it's better than everything added in the Tiny Takeover. But what would you say is the best feature for every year? Let me know.